Okay, so it seems like the current circumstance for us is that there's a lot of fire, a lot of uncontained fire. It can feel a little bit chaotic right now. This right now is a level up in your life. So, what's being sort of burned away is old ways of thinking. The old self is being burned up in this metaphorical fire that seems to be alive within you and without you in your life right now. Um, Not only that, but the fire is more of a, it's not a test, but it's initiation, we'll say. Uh, this heat, this intensity, uh, this chaos. It seems very overwhelming right now. The key is to just keep going as you always have. Um, and it's more to see what you can start to make out of this. What can you create from this intensity, from this drive? It's the beginning of you harnessing this new energy. It's almost like you reached a certain level in your life, a certain level of balance was reached, satisfaction was reached. But of course, we have a limitless capacity to feel satisfaction. So then it's like the psyche, universe, whatever you want to call it, evolution, the natural evolution. For me, it's all the same. It's almost like you've reached that level and that threshold. And then it was like, okay, let's let's just douse them with fire and see what they do with it. And so it's almost like we're now, yes, we've leveled up, but we're at the bottom of the next level. And it's very confusing. It's very overwhelming. It's uncomfortable. Uh, it's laying a foundation for ultimately, there's sort of an end goal and an end dream here that you're working towards. It's not necessarily that like this end goal or end dream is the be all and end all of your life. It's more just something right now that is causing you to look up and go, okay, I want to get there. Of course, that could change and it could look different than when you get there. The point right now is to keep looking up, keep looking towards just some sliver of a goal that you want to get to, something that makes you feel excited, something that maybe feels a little bit unattainable, but deep down inside you know that you can do it. Yeah, something to kind of pull you up and out of this fire, less up and out of it and more like harnessing it, and then that propelling you upwards after you've harnessed it. And I think sometimes there's this need to want to control uh, exactly, uh, wanting to control the elements of life, the elements of what's going on. This kind of new chapter, new level, it's less about going, okay, I've got a handle on this, this is here, there's organization, and perhaps more about learning to uh, find peace within all this chaos. That's sort of the new challenge is that, you were able to find a certain level of peace to a certain extent in your life. Control, I would say, mastery. And now it's not going to look the same when you reach mastery around what's happening with you. It's more of an allowing, a surrender to all of these very intricate elements of your life that are coming together and weaving, and these different expressions of different facets of yourself and relationships that you have, and this immense growth that you're going through right now. It might feel like chaos surrounding you at the moment, but it's not. It really isn't. And from a higher perspective, which you will get there, you'll see that. But at this new level, it's an orderly chaos, but it is chaos, and it's just learning to live amongst that chaos, like surfing. When you're underwater and your ankles are in your mouth, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the natural part of surfing. It's more just bending to the waves and surrendering. And I think that's really the key here right now. I think in order to reach a level of like peace and balance within whatever is going on right now, it's really about finding the beauty that surrounds you and recognizing that it is a reflection and matching something inside of you. So any beautiful moment in the day, anything nice that you see, anything beautiful that you see, and there's a yearning for it and almost an ache for it, actually recognize that as something that is a match to you on the inside. It's actually just a projection. The beauty that you see on the outside and around you, and that you want and that you yearn for, is actually already a part of you. It's a reflection of the beauty that's inside of you. And this sense of coming into balance is really going to come from reaching that center point inside of yourself that feels really nice. And maybe we can only get there every so often. For me to get there, it's through closing my eyes and dropping down into my body and dropping my mind into my whole body and just finding that sort of center point. It feels like it's right here in my solar plexus. And it makes my spine tingle a little bit. And I know I've reached sort of the center of myself. The eye of the storm, more I would say. Because it is a storm, but life, but beautiful, of course. And just really trying to multiply and close the gap between experiences and moments, small moments where you feel at peace, where you feel a spark inside of you, where you feel like the profound beauty of the world is being reflected on the inside of you. At first, they'll only maybe happen once every so often, but then you'll notice they'll happen a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, until eventually you reach that sort of center point where you're kind of always operating from that place. Even when things are going wrong and are chaotic, you're still anchored. I think that a lot of the source of a lot of this discomfort right now is coming from the family. passed down issues, trauma, resentments. There's a lot of forgiveness that needs to happen here. And ultimately, forgiveness is not just, something that you just decide to do in a moment, as I'm sure you're well aware. I think you would have to be a saint to be able to do that. It's going to be more of a slow build and a process, and more, in these moments when you're feeling anger, feeling resentment, maybe just cutting that cycle, that continuous cycle, this loop, this pattern that's only adding more anger and more resentment. Cutting that cycle off by, it doesn't mean you don't feel angry, you don't feel upset, you don't feel, whatever it is that comes up. It's just you're not feeding it anymore with your mind. So it's not that you push it away or push it down. It's more that you cut the circuit in your mind that wants to feed it with more thoughts and more anger. You just want to open yourself up and feel it, because as you're feeling it, it's leaving your body, it's leaving your cells. And none of this is like me preaching to you and telling you what to do at all. These are all very, very heavy themes in my own life right now. And this is just what's working for me. And I feel like when I do a tarot reading, that's all I do. It's almost like I find this connection point between me and the other person, and what we're both going through from different perspectives, of course. And then I just say everything that I've learned so far about it myself. And then through doing this, I actually remind myself and solidify these things that I believe, but maybe need to practice more. From there, forgiveness, the sense of freedom that will be available to you will be unlike anything you have ever experienced. Like true freedom to express yourself, to move in any direction that you want to go in whatsoever, having no boundaries on yourself mentally, physically, or spiritually, or energetically, or whatever. It's truly being boundless in every sense of the world, in every sense of the word. Having your sense of adventure back. Having a sense of excitement for life, of joy back. So yeah, although forgiveness is walking through the fire right now, standing in it really, and feeling however it feels. For me, it feels like being torched alive. But I think standing in it and just allowing everything to get burned away, all the gunk, all the negativity, everything you don't need, just standing it, opening it, surrendering to it, it burns it all away. And freedom is absolutely on the cards. In this new sense of balance that you have in your life, the ultimate, balance amongst all this fire, all this intensity, it's chaos, yes, but it's also, beautiful. So yes, there's balance, but it's more operating from a place, having balance in the sense where the natural order of things just takes place in you, instead of thinking like 10, 12 steps ahead. You just, from your own intuition, your own gut, your own guidance, your own inner teacher, you're just following that. It's like it's being like projected out of the center of you, and then you're just moving in tandem with that. And then life becomes like this big surprise for you, rather than thinking, okay, here's my goal, set out to achieve it, got it, nice. Here's my goal, set out to achieve it, got it, nice. It's more like, okay, here's my goal, what does my gut say? And then you go on this big, beautiful, scenic journey, and it's not even really about the goal anymore, but then you just bump into it and then it's done. And it's like it's a elevated, more exciting, more dynamic way of experiencing your life. And it's just taking a level of mastery right now is all. A level of stretching yourself and growing, which is exciting. So there's many rewards to come. There's sort of this deep calling right now. Maybe it just feels like a deep ache in you. We all should actually be recognizing this deep ache, which I think a lot of us actually feel, and anyone who doesn't feel it is maybe just suppressing it. I think that us as human beings, our capacity to live and to express ourselves and how we want to operate in this world is grossly underutilized because of societal pressures, family pressures, personal fears and traumas, just the world that we live in, this regimented world that we live in. We've placed all these boundaries on ourselves. And I think every single human being, their intuition and the sort of natural calling of evolution to us is sort of screaming out inside of us for something different, for something more. But this ache that we feel is actually never, ever, 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 ever something to be avoided. It's something to really relish in, dive into, feel, follow no matter what. Sinking deep into that feeling, into that ache, into that yearning for more, rather than trying to snuff it out by doing, achieving. It's almost like, this ache is following, and then we're trying to be like, okay, well, maybe this will help, and then the ache's there. Maybe this will help, maybe this is there. It's actually more of a case of going, okay, we're just gonna sink into this ache, and then that ache is actually our intuition. It's our highest calling. It is what we truly want to be doing in this world that we don't even know what it is yet. And it is, like I said, screaming out to us. And so what we were talking about before, recognizing those moments of beauty, things that you really like. It's almost like these moments, like things that you see in other people that you like, or things that you see in other people's lives that they have that you enjoy, or that looks nice, or it's good. Those are actually sparks, and they're little clues to go, hey, that's actually that's the calling inside of you. That's the beauty inside of you. Beautiful moments, scenery, sunsets, water, light on water, nature in any capacity, whatever it is, beautiful conversations, interactions, experiences, anything that is beauty whatsoever is the expression of your fullest self on the inside. It's who you truly are. And instead of feeling a sense of disconnect there, it's oneness. It's who you are actually. It's yourself calling to yourself. And so, yeah, just starting to follow those and recognize those little sparks of joy, sparks of beauty, things that you like, things that resonate with you. Like I said, that's going to build and build and build and build and build until it becomes this voice that is unavoidable or unignorable inside of you. That's like this deep calling that you just know where to go. You know what to do. You don't need to mentally map it out 12 steps ahead. You experience your way there. You feel your way there. you know your way there, but it's less of a know and more of a knowing in your whole body. Um, and then from there, it's not so much like you reach this end destination. It's almost like once you get to this point, anything you want can really be yours. Uh, and at that point, it doesn't even really matter what the goal is, what you've set out to achieve, or what you want to bring into your life. Not really at this point, because what you've found in this sort of oneness and this yoking with yourself and this wearing of yourself from the inside out, that is the gift. That's the ultimate gift. There's actually nothing that you could bring into your life, set out to achieve, buy, create, say, whatever. It matters because it's nice and it's like adds a spice of life to you. But what we're doing is we're creating this foundation within ourselves, that is the goal. That is the real bread and butter of who we are and of our life. And funnily enough, once we have that, everything we've ever wanted could be ours. But it's almost like, okay, yeah, cool, that's nice. It's a nice little bonus. But it's almost like you don't care that much anymore, I suppose. Because what you have is the true treasure. So it's almost like you need to find this like mysterious treasure before all the other treasure that you're looking for can come into your life. And then once that treasure comes, it's almost like you're like, oh, cool. Yeah. I think sort of just the main message of this pile is that things are hard right now. It's an initiation. You're sort of walking through the line of fire right now and getting hit sometimes. But ultimately, this is a really good thing. It's stretching you, and with absolute certainty, you're gonna, pass with flying colors, get on to the next phase. It's gonna happen, just like with certainty you made it to this phase, and so on and so forth. Because you have this strive to always want to keep getting better. You always want to keep learning, and therefore you will. It's as simple as that. That's the most fundamental and important quality to have, I think, on a journey where you're trying to expand your life and find peace and happiness and fulfillment in your life. As long as you're open to changing, growing, learning, and you remain open, you'll get there eventually. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave this section here for the moment.